Hello, welcome back to the next episode in our Interactions Byte-Sized Tutorials. So I'm going to go a little bit different on this one. I'm going to continue with our keypad, but I'm going to introduce you to maybe some sounds during our interacts. Now, we won't be putting anything into our interact base actor because not everything's going to have a sound. So there may be later on, maybe you can create a new subclass of this which you feed off of that uses sounds of sort that are constant, but not everything is played the same, not everything has the same interaction sounds at the same time, and this, so each object is probably going to play sounds at different times in different ways and a different number of sounds, so it might not be feasible. But we're going to just do a basic bit of sounds on this as part of our interact. So what we could do is we could add a sound into this, and what we're going to do, I'm going to grab something from Freesound. Now unfortunately this is going to use another piece of software and you may not be comfortable with it, but it is relatively easy. It's free software, and I don't think you should have much of a problem doing this. So let me just show you the software. So here is the software. It's called www.audacityteam.org. It's a legit piece of software. It's completely free and it's quite powerful for what you can do with it. We're only going to use some basics of it, but that's what you want to download, because this is going to allow us to edit a sound. The reason we need to edit a sound, not every sound is downloadable in a single format where it's exactly the size you want, exactly the sound you want, exactly the length you want. So you know, you could work on making the sounds yourself, recording them, but most of the time you're going to download them, and a good place to download them is a place called freesound.org, and we're going to go to there in a moment. But Audacity, very, very good free sound editor. I use it all the time. Okay, this is freesound.org. I'm a member, I'm logged in, and I think you have to download audio. It's, again, Freesound is a legitimate free source of sounds. You may wish to check that the files on here are allowed to be used. You do need to check. Most of them are Creative Commons 0, like this one here, which is the one we're going to be using, which I'll show you back in a second. But yeah, just double check that they're Creative Commons 0, but you can use these and they're not bad sounds, but yeah, attribute the authors. So what I've done, I've just done a search for a single beep. I was finding it hard just to find a beep, and it was coming up with all sorts of weird things like, see, that's not too bad. You could possibly use that. If you want to use that one, I would use that one. There's no editing going on there, but there is a reason I want to use this single beep and double beep, because I like the double beep at the end, and I'll show you why. So we've got a single beep and another. That double beep there, without me having to recreate it in the sound software, I can use that as a sound to say that the door is unlocked or not unlocked if it beeps. You know, I can use both of those sounds, but as you can see, there's two of each. I only want one of each, hence the software Audacity. This one, single beep, perfect. You could probably just use that and you could be happy with it, so you could just do yours on a smaller scale. I like this, and this is where Audacity comes in. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to download the sound, and I'm going to save it. It's going to be a WAV file, so I'll save that down. There we go, saved. Then want to load up Audacity, and there we go, Audacity. I had to just pause that for a second, it did an update. So bit of information about whatever. I'm just going to click don't show this, then click OK, and there we go, there's Audacity. You then want to open your file that you've just downloaded into Audacity, so it's always best to know where your downloads go to. Mine go into a downloads folder, so that's where I'm going to open mine from. So you go to a file, open, and I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and Audacity Win. Oh, not that. Tachyon Echo single beep and double beep. Click open. There we go. So press play. Yeah, that's the one we wanted. So I only want just part of this, and probably that part there. I can see a little bit of a line there, so I think it's a bit yeah, just to make sure I've taken the whole of that, and it's in stereo. So I've selected that. I want to edit. I want to copy. Then I want to go file and new, not new. That brings up a new window, and it's in the wrong monitor anyway. I want to track, sorry, add new, stereo track. And then make sure you click the back arrow, because otherwise it'll keep that selection, and then edit, paste. I now have this here is just that little piece I cut there. I'm going to do the same again with the double beep. And it looks like it starts about there, and I'll end it just before that one starts. So edit, copy, tracks, add new, stereo track, and make sure you click the back button here so it clears the selection. Edit, paste. There we go. We now have 2 tracks that we're going to use. I'm now going to, I think this is the button here, and I'm going to, no, it's not that one. Oh, just the cross. Yeah, there's just a little cross there, and that means I've got just the 2. So this track here is my single beep, and this one is my double beep. I think I can just export these directly. Export audio, and you can either do it to the cloud or you could do it to your computer. I'm going to click export to computer, and current selection, because that's the one I've got here, and we're going to save this, and I'm going to call this single keypad beep, not beepo, beep. I already have this folder set up. You put yours wherever you want. Actually no, that's not where I want to put that. That's where I want to put that. Now I normally change these to OGGs. You don't have to, but I generally do. But we're going to leave this as we're going to use this as a standard WAV, so it keeps things easy for everyone. So export current selection, done. And then this one, file, export audio to my computer, and I will call this one keypad double beep, same place, current selection, export. So if I open this folder and I find my double beep and so forth, there's my player, so there's my keypad double beep. Yep, and my single beep, where did I save that one? There it is. Let's open that one. Yep, I have my 2 single files that are not. So just make sure you select it, file, export audio, export to computer, choose somewhere to put it using the browse button here, leave all this unchanged, give it a name that makes something to you, make sure it's on current selection, and do the same on that one. Make sure you highlight this track and you save that, and that's basically it. Now it's going to ask me if I want to save this. No, I've already separated them. I'm not going to do anything more, so I don't need to save this as a project. If you want to, if you want to come back and edit, you can do. Click yes and give it a name. Done. But I'm not going to, so done. Okay, let's get rid of that. We now have sounds. So I want to put these sounds somewhere, so I'm going to create a new folder in my content drawer. So if I click on content, right click, and new folder, I'm going to call this audio, and in here I'm going to put another folder and we call that SFX for sound effects. Right, so I'm going to drag and drop both of these files in. So if you've got them like you've got on mine, oh weird, so click on and left click and control left click and drag in. There we go. Or you can click add and browse to them, or import, sorry, and browse to them. I now have them in here. There we go. We have our sound waves. These are now going to be used every time we play something. So we're going to create a new function here. So we're going to call this, rather than repeat code, we're going to call this play sound keypad. So play sound keypad, that's going to be our function. We're going to need the sounds in here, so all we need is one sound. So we're going to add audio. We have an audio object, so we'll just call this keypad sound. Okay, now the sound we're going to use, if you come over to the right hand side, sound, we're going to use a single beep. That's our keypad sound. Yeah, and click this arrow. Done. So we now want to bring this out. Just drag it out and do this, and then just go play. Drag in, and that's as simple as that. Yeah, that's as simple as that. Nothing else, just play. It'll only play once, I believe, but I'm going to double check that by coming in here, go to our single pad, just make sure that there is looping is disabled, otherwise it will loop and loop and loop, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, just double checking that. Back to our keypad. So let's go back to our event graph where our function interact here is. Let's just play the sound. Compile. Oh, I will save it as well and run. Now I'll show you why that did that in a minute. You hear the beep, but anyway, so let's hit E. Okay, we have a beep, but did you hear the beep that started? That's another thing I missed at the beginning. If we go back into our keypad here, the keypad sound, there is an auto start or auto play. Let's just there, auto activate. Just untick that, compile and save, and then this time nothing. Okay, if I come up, yep. Okay, so now we have a keypad, but we don't have any code on the keypad, so we need to be able to manage this. Let's just get rid of that on the details. So we need to add a variable. So if we click add, and we're going to say we're going to call this key code, and we're going to have this as a integer. It has to be a round integer number, and I'm going to make it visible. Okay, compile and save. There we go. Right, so we need to be able to get the length of this key code, devise whether it's correct, and then unlock a door or not unlock a door. Yeah. So first, I'm just going to use a standard 4-digit pin, and it's going to be 1 2 3 4. Yeah. Please don't use that on my internet access. I don't use 1 2 3 4. No, it's 4 3 2 1. Anyway, just going to take a sip of a gin. Sorry about that. Right. So we now play a sound on the keypad. We're going to do that regardless. We need to count the number of times a button is pressed, and we also need to keep track of the code that's being entered. So let's create a new variable. We're going to call this user code. So that's the one that the player is entering at the moment. We also now need another function. So in our functions, click plus. I'm going to call this fn. Forgot to do that on the other one. Fn input digit. Right, I'm going to rename that play sound because I like my fn's at the beginning. I got a bit overzealous there. Right, so input digit. Double click. I've already in it anyway. So right, we now need to know what came in. So we also need to know add a plus, say new digit, again integer. Right, we need to know, well, that actually, sorry, this can't be an integer. I'll show you why in a minute. This has got to be a string, and that's because we're using star and hash as well. So I don't know whether we should just change it to integer to make life easier, or shall we stick to string? What did we use as our tags? Let's have a look. That tag was a hash, but we need to send the hash through to the player. Yeah, we'll do it as string. Let's just leave it as string because then we can control exactly what we want. Right. So the key code is the actual unlock code. Yeah, and we put 1 2 3 4. The user code is the current bunch of numbers that have been entered by the player until it reaches the limit, and then the new digit is the current one being entered because we need to check what we're entering. So a little bit confusing by all means, but it won't be. You'll see in a minute. So okay, let's go back to our event graph. We get this target component, okay, and we need to send the tag through that we're checking. Okay, so to do that, we will do that in our function, in our input digit function. So we're going to click on input digit, input, and we're going to put in there tag, and it's going to be of type string. This allows us to get what we're inputting. So we're going to now drag this in. We've not put anything in it yet. We'll drag it in and play this sound regardless, and then from the target component we're going to get component tags, and again we'll drag off this, and we want to not find item, what was it, just get a copy of value 1. I'm going to send that into tag. Okay, so that sends all that through as a string into that function. Right, okay, so we're now going to double click here and edit this. We've now got our number here. Yeah, we also need to keep count of the user code. Now the user code to start with is going to be 0. The current digit is going to be nothing because we don't want anything in there at the moment. So the new digit will be from the tag. I'm going to set it here so we know what the digit is. We then need to do a switch on string. Okay, and then in between this, I've put that there because that's what we're going to use to filter through our values. Yeah. I've just realized our user code must be a string as well, so change that. User code must be a string. In fact, we're going to use the key code as a string as well. Just got to make sure you don't put any erroneous letters in there or anything. So key code is a string, and we're going to put 1 2 3 4. This just makes our lives a lot easier, because otherwise we'd have to work out tens, thousands and all that. A string is what we want. So they're all strings. Yeah, key code, user code, new digit, all strings. So we've got one or two ways of doing this. Do we have a button, or do we have an automatic detection of the number of digits? Now, cheapo keypads like this in real life do tend to have automatic digit recognition, so they go, oh, you've entered 4 digits, that it's right or wrong. Yeah, the only problem is that gives an idea to the inputter it gives an idea to the inputter how many digits there is. Yeah, so not that he's actually going to stand there and type 9,999 digits in, but it's possible if he's got the time. But the other option is if you have a button that you press, which would be either the star or the hash, to activate and test the code. Now that's up to you. It wouldn't be much of a code change, but to start with, I'm going to do a standard 4-pin code. So we are going to we're not going to test it in here. We're going to do the switch on string here. So the user code is now going to be added to. So to do that, on each one of these, we're going to, let's think of this out. Should we just add the code and check it and do a compare when it's reached the maximum number of digits, letters? Yeah, probably. So we may not need to do the switch on string. So we've got a case default, we've got case 0, and we've got case 1. So case default is where every other number that doesn't match these cases goes. Yeah, so this one would be star, and this one will be hash. I know that's pretty small, but you should be able to understand. Star, hash. Okay, and then default will be anything else other than star and hash. Now, because we're using a keypad, not actually using our keyboards, it means that it will always come through here if there's no star or hash, and it'll always be one of the numbers. And then what we'll do is we'll get our user code here, and we will append string, which automatically comes up, which is good. Bring this up here, and we're going to add a new digit. Bring this round. This is the default one, by the way. All we're doing is adding to it. Right. what we're then going to do is check to see what this is by setting it. So our new digit, our new user code is going to be there. I'm going to have to set it. So default set. You have to set it, even though you've done that. All that does is send it out here. It doesn't actually send it back to the user code. So there, right. We now have a user code that's building up. We need to check the length of this. So regardless of the length of our key code, so we want to get this out and get drag off, and we want length. Okay, that brings an integer. We also then want to get user code length. Okay, so we now have the length of both the key code and the length of the current code being entered into the system. I hope that's clear. So the default pin, which is every other digit except star and hash, will be added to the user code using the append string, and we set it to the user code. So we add the two together, then set the user code to the new one. We then want an equals here. Okay, I'm going to bring this underneath, and let's just put them in a different order. And then, so what we use is an equal. So right click, equals there, and it will automatically do that for you. And then it wants a branch. Okay, and then from our set, we want to go into the branch. So what we're doing now is we're adding to the key code, and we're checking the code's length. If the length is the same as the length of the key code, so the current code that we're putting in is the same, we now want to compare. So we want to get the key code again. I could just drag off these here, but it'll start getting messy. So the key code and the user code get, and then we're going to go equals. It's a compare then, maybe. I thought it was equals. Equals exactly string, sorry, there we go. I thought it just automatically let you plug it in, it does it automatically, but there we go. So is it exact? Okay, so let's bring this down here. So if the length is true, if it's false, we don't want to do anything. If the length is true, we're now checking to see if it matches the key code. So we want another branch which plugs that into there. So let's just bring this under there and there. Okay, if it's false, we're not doing anything. We don't care. Yeah, we'll just bugger off somewhere and carry on with what we're doing. We're just adding it on and say no more. If they match, cool, we know it's the right thing. From now, we're not doing anything except we're going to clear the user code, but we're not going to do anything else at the moment. Eventually that's going to open or unlock a door. Okay, so compile that. Right, we now have these hashes and stars. Now I'm not going to do anything with star. That's the button you could use if you want to not check the length and you want to use that as your access. So you punch in the bunch of numbers and you press that and it's done. Hash, however, I'm going to use to clear the key code. Yeah, and simple, just get the user code and set it. That's it. So let's tidy this up so we see what we're doing. Yeah, so this part here, let's spread this out a little bit so we've got a bit of space. And you, let's just grab that as well and bring you down a little. Actually no, bring you back. That's fine there. It's this one, I'll move out of the way. There we go. So this one, append new digit to current entered code. So that adds a new digit to the current code. Control C, press C, and this check if the user's code matches the current passcode length. So that means if it's the same, it will work. Yeah. If it's true, we're going to check again if it matches. So C, oh, why did that not work? C, there we go. Check if the code is correct. If it's true, empty the code. If it's false, at the moment, empty the code. In fact, no, let's do this properly. I basically want to do the same thing, but the reason I'm having two is because later on this one is going to go on and do something. Yeah, do something. So if it's false, we're actually going to do something as well. We're going to add an error sound now, which is our other code, our other sound we've got. So if we add another audio, so if we select the double keypad, add audio double keypad beep. Yeah, bring this out, and we'll go to drag out there, play. There we go. Okay, so we now know if it's false, it will go in there. We know it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Should we just try this out? Oh, have I put the code in my event graph? Function input digits, yes. So let's see if I've actually got this working first time. And I forgot to turn off the autoplay on the error sound, but we'll do that in a moment. So we know it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, so we go 9. Oh, what's going on here? Access none, trying to read input digits. I'll have a look at that in a moment. Let's see what's going on with our sound. First, double keypad beep, and we want that not to auto start. Why would they put it so far down? Auto activate, there we go. Did I put the wrong sound in here? Did I do that? No, double keypad beep. Okay, and it is okay. So we're getting the values, we're sending them through. Let's just go to our event graph, and we're going to hit F9 on here, and we're going to run this and see what happens. So bring our player in, bring it up, and we're going to put 7. Okay, so let's step into, now that was a double beep. Access none, trying to read input digit, event graph. Okay, let's do that again then. Something really wrong there. Okay, there's no component tags, and there's no component. Okay, we're not getting the component, are we, for some reason? And this is probably another thing in my interact trace that I've forgotten to do. Let's get interact text and show interact, or yeah, that's all good. Okay, so it's got to be our interact here. Get trace by channel. So it comes out, hit interact, comes out. If it's true, it sets the interact target, sets the interact text. Okay, that's working. So is it on our, it's on our component tray, it's on our button plate, it's on our player, isn't it? So let's have a look at our first person blueprints, first person character, and it's on the it's the, oh, I'm getting totally lost here. Where's the event? There it is, event graph. Okay, I8 interact. We're not sending the target component through, are we? Let's find our get interact component. Right. So what I've done is gone back into the event graph on the first person character, and I've just dragged off this, off the input interact here, off this trace, and I've got the interact component. I'm just plugging it into there, so that we're sending it through. Otherwise, we've sent it through on the interact text, but we didn't send it on the value here. So now that should come through, and then we shouldn't have an error this time. Right, let's just make sure these are saved. The little stars mean they're not, and let's see what happens this time. Let's come across. Oh, wrong button. That's my jump button. Okay, so we now should have a box component. We have return value 9. There we go. For some reason this is showing as 0 because it must have, once it's disposed of using these, it's done. But we have a value of 9. Let's step in, and then we have a beep. Okay, let's get rid of the F9 on that, and let's run the simulation. Let's try again. So 1, 3, 4. Yeah, we got the bub. There we go. So 2, 5, 8, wrong number. 1, 2, 3, and no double beep because it's correct. So we now can unlock this door, and because it should be a control target, if I remember right, let's go to our modern door 01. Believe this is a control target. Interfaces, or did we set it as a control target? Not completely sure. To interact actor, but does he have the interface for control target? Okay, I've got get interact text, and where's the, it goes to show you how long ago I did this. It's my brain has gone dead. I work some really stupid hours, and when I start doing things like this, my head goes blank. Right, FN interact text. Okay, there we go. We've got the FN interact. We've got the target component coming through. Do we care? Don't think so. No, we don't care. So this has got is locked, and we need to be able to modify this is locked, and we did that using a key, didn't we? So how are we going to do it this time? We need to interact with this door in a slightly different way. So we add our target. We need to add a target. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to make our door here. Now normally we would change it to a control target base class, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to add the interface indirectly because it's not exactly it's not exactly going to be doing a lot of control targeting. So unless you have a lever involved, then you have a lever to open the door and close the door or something like that, or some sort of automated door. But in this instance, it's just going to take an instance to unlock. Now, as you can see, this door is locked. You can obviously use the rusty key, but we're gonna at this moment in time also be able to use the keypad. So to do this, we're going to need to go to our modern door. We need to edit the blueprint for modern door. Let's go in there. Doesn't matter where we are at the moment. If you come up the top and go to class settings and go to implemented interfaces, add, and we want to call this BPI and control target. There we go. Add it in, compile and save. Make sure you compile and save, otherwise the interface doesn't appear here. And as you can see, you've got FN send message. Double click, and this is our BPI control target send message. And if you remember, it has the default toggles and things, but unfortunately we're not doing those, so we're going to right click. I don't think this has a call to parent function, does it? No, it doesn't. So we're going to consume the command, and we're going to check what comes through. So for now, we're just going to drag off here. I'm going to go print string, okay, and we're just going to see the command that comes through. Compile and save. And then if we do the same on here, we want to call a target, so we need to add a target on here, don't we? We need to have some way of accessing an object. Yeah, so edit our keypad, and we're going to add target object, which is going to be the thing that we're going to unlock, and we're going to set this to actor. Make it visible and compile and save. Okay, now if we come back in here now, if we select our keypad, we have this target object. If we click on the dropper and click on the door, we now have a link directly to that door. Yep, which is brilliant. So what, as this is what, an interact object, is it? Is that what this is? BP modern door? It's an interact actor, yeah. Okay. Right. So we need to now send a message to that door when it unlocks. So let's double click on our keypad. So we input our digit. Let's go into our function input digit. Come along, and it's this point here, this one, where we want to interact with the door. So we need to come off here, and we want to send message from BPI. Make sure it says BPI control target in case you have the same thing anywhere, and we just want to click that, and we want to control that there. The command will be I'll just call it unlock with a capital I, and there is no parameters, because if the code works, it unlocks the door. Yeah, the target will be our target object there. Done. We could do an additional check here to make sure that that object does imply the interface, but as you can see there, if you hover over message, this does nothing if the target does not implement the interface. So if you've made a mistake, it doesn't matter, it just won't do anything. It might confuse you, so you could add a little bit of error checking to say does implement and then send the message. Just for this instance, it really doesn't matter, does it? So we've done that. We're now going to send the message unlock. We now to receive that on the door. So let's come back to our BP door, modern door, and it should receive this here, and it should print it to the screen. So this is on the door. So if the keypad is working correctly, so let's try random numbers to start with. So let's use the right button. Yep, nothing. So 1, 2, 3. Did that work? Did I get 5 by mistake? Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Unlock. Yeah, there we go. I must have hit 5. That's where maybe the scale of this needs to come up to match the size of that light switch, because that is a bit small. So let's just scale this up a little to maybe, let's lock dimensions and set it to, oh, I've unlocked it, didn't I? 2. Yay, that's more like it. There we go. Okay, so I may make these a little bit shallower now. As you can see, they're sticking out quite far, but it's slightly overlapping each number, so I might send these a bit back, but you can still hit them. It's not too bad. Okay, so all we did was send a string. Let's get rid of that. We know it's working. We then need to switch on string. The reason I'm doing switch on string and not just checking for that one, because I may want to add new stuff later on. So I'm just going to add a new one, leave the default as it is in case I need a default, and then we're going to go to type unlock with a capital U so it matches, and then we're going to unlock it. So let's get going. Let's see what happens. We come along and the door is locked. You require a rusty old key. So I'm now going to go, let's put the run code first. 5 1 2 3. Nope, no good. 1 2 3 4, and it opens. And then if we go, say we accidentally go 5 2 3, oh, clear. 1 2 3 4, and it's, well, it's already unlocked, but we don't really need to mess with that. So yeah, we have a working keypad. So if I shift and F1, select the door, button door, and I'm going to tick it as locked so we can see it. Back in, 1 2 3 4. And as you can see, the is locked has disappeared in the bottom right, and we can now open the door. Simple as that. Let's see, how much time have we been running for? It's been quite a while. I'm going to just add a little addendum to this, just showing you. See how that lock button is lighting up? I don't like that because it's pre-built into it and it's not changing. So I'm going to show you how to make that change so it lights up either the green or lights up the red. So I hope that wasn't too convoluted again, but we've now got a working keypad that will open a door, and it verifies your number. It only allows you to set in the 4 digits, but just to show you, actually, shift F1, let's click on the, let's find the keypad there. Let's change this to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and then back, and let's clear it just to make sure I've got our numbers in there. So 1 2 3 4, unlocked. Yeah, but it now validates against 5 numbers. 1 2 3 4 0. So it's checking the whole code. Easy, not too bad, eh? A little bit messing about. Again, that's my preparation thing. I'm sorry about that. That's not a good thing. I should need to prep a bit more. It's only because I kind of managed to get a bit of time, so I jumped into it today. But yeah, there we go. We have a working keypad with sounds as well. A little bit of a sound interaction. Yeah, that keypad bit, you can change that, maybe have a master string for what it's called, because it might be like old wooden door keypad. Maybe if you want to give it some more information, but technically normally these keypads are right next to it, but it might be for something else further away, so you might want to put the name on it, you might not, you might just want to say this is a keypad sort of thing, like just like we've done there. But there's many different ways of doing it. So I say that one I could change it to clear, the words clear, and that one say, see what maybe it's a special function, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, working door from a working keypad. I hope you got something from that, and I will see you again shortly. Take care. Bye bye.